Hey everyone, welcome back here to my channel where I play Planet Zoo. My name is Nisse and this is the first habitat in our new zoo and the first habitat with the new DLC being the Oceania DLC. We are building for the Quokka today and it wants a friend in there, so we threw in the emu as well. And the Quokka is actually the only one from this pack that I didn't know beforehand, so I'm looking forward to learning about it. And if you want the same or just see how I built this habitat, then please keep watching. Let's just start with talking about the King Island Zoo, because King Island is actually a real island that me and my mom found. We were just thinking, where in Australia would I put a zoo if I could? And we found this beautiful island 80 kilometers northwest of Tasmania, and between Tasmania and Victoria. It is a Tasmanian island, so it does belong to that. And it's just this beautiful small island. Looking at discovertasmania.com, they have a lot of things to do over there, such as golf is a really big thing, walks and surfing. But they also have recommendations as like a marine trail, diaries, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. A historical museum, brews, botanicals, fine dining, and luxury hotels. But nowhere does it say a zoo. And if you have the opportunity to put a zoo in a beautiful island, then why don't do it? So that's what we thought we would do. So this will of course be King Island's official zoo, though it will be a official zoo of theme. It will still be fairly small because King Island is still limited in how many visitors there will be, and it will also probably be a seasonal thing, more guests in certain seasons than in others. Because of this unique location, I really want everything in the zoo to have a reason for being here. We will not have a limit to only Tasmanian animals. We will have quite a few different animals in here from all around the world, of course, because we are exotic. But we will have a kind of thought process about which animals would it make sense to put out here, because you always need to be able to work with other zoos so you don't just inbreed your animals, and a African elephant would be extremely expensive to get out here, for instance, where smaller animals from mainlands would be easier. Of course, you could have money for special project where you can splurge a little more, but you need to think about it. The same with the things we build with. I want all of the things we build with around here to be things that either could be found on this island, other local islands, or easily and fairly cheaply be sailed to here. For instance, things that's not too big and not too heavy for building stuff. I won't lean too much into it, but I want to keep this idea alive of we are in this it's not a poor area as such, but there is just limits to what you can do when you are confined to shipping everything. Again, this is not a big island. Actually, according to Google, it's only 1098 kilometers square kilometers big. So again, very, very small in the big scheme of things. King Island do have their own airport, but it seems that it is only connected with flights to either other Tasmanian airports or a single airport in Melbourne, which is in Victoria, Australia. Anyway, today's focus are supposed to be the quagga, and I will just mention I'm already a little mad at Frontier because of their biome selection. They put the quagga as a grassland animal, and according to the animalia.bio, it's not even an option. The thing is, biomes are a little difficult to set because there's not a official list. But I do know that Animalia use the same as the IUCN Red List, so that is what I go by. And some biomes can be the same. For instance, you can have one biome that have features for 2 or more biomes, which I will explain in a minute. Anyway, the biomes Animalia go with is forest, scrubland, wetlands, and riparians. And for zone, we have the climate zone of temperate, which again isn't either picked in Planet Zoo. But I wanted to go with this riparian feel to it, and I actually went in and read a little up on it. And riparian actually comes from the Latin word ripa, which means river banks. Riparians are in general just the area in between the lake or the stream of water, or the ocean it can also be, and the forest or mountain or whatever is in there. Sometimes the riparian area can be very small, and sometimes it can be very, very big. It can be something like a sandy beach, and then you also have other biomes, of course, in here. It can also be to a forest, and it would be something like a woodland riparian biome. You can also have like a riparian forest, riparian buffer zone, which is kind of just a dead space with no plants. So there's a lot of things to go by. Here I thought I would go for this feeling of we are on an island and we are fairly close to the water surface. Therefore I thought, well, when the ocean's levels get a little high, they will rise up and you will have these natural indents in the area where the water will sink in, and these areas will have 2 functions. One being simply to make a little pool for the animals, but the other thing is these holes will drain the water in a way so that it doesn't get into the city or the rest of the zoo or something like that. These holes are kind of ready to gather the water when it comes. Being limited to the grassland plants in the game, I did go a little around and figure out what I could do. Of course, this way of making the riparian area will also automatically make it a wetland, because you have this kind of mixture, and some of the area and actually the animals can go through fine, even though there is a little bit of water because the water is so shallow. Scrublands also, we have a tiny bit of that here, but it's not like a big thing. And I went away from the forest, even though I kind of wanted it, but I compared it to the fact that I really want a island feel, tropical island feel to this. And I also really wanted it to be something that still went with the game's limits, which is the grassland biome. So I tried to work a little bit around that, and this is what I came up with. I really hope you still like it. I certainly do, though again, if they have had all the biomes in Planet Zoo, I probably would have went a little different with the foliage. As I mentioned in my earlier Let's Talk Quokka video, I mentioned that these are marsupials, and we can see that specifically because it is in the Marsupialia infra class. Looking a little bit closer for the order, we have the Diprotodontia order, which holds a lot. We have all of the wallabies, of course, kangaroos, but also animals like the koala, sugar glider, possums, and a lot of different beautiful animals in here, also including the wombat, which is something I think most of us recognize. For subfamily, they have the Macropoini, which is only 2 species, and this is where it gets interesting, because I thought actually that the quagga was quite unique compared to some other animals we have seen that I know you could compare it to a wallaby or a kangaroo or even a wombat a little bit, especially because it is marsupial like all of those. But in the Macropodidae subfamily, we have two animals, being the swamp wallaby and the quokka, which actually means that the swamp wallaby is closer related to the quokka than they are to all of the other wallabies, which is something I kind of find extremely interesting. That being said, these quokkas have their own genus, being the Cystonyx genus, and that also gives them the name Cystonyx brachyurus thing. I sometimes think I actually pronounce the Latin better than the English, but not always. These are fairly small animals with a total weight of about 2.5 to 5 kilos, being 5.5 to 11 pounds. Very small. They have, as we also have talked about in my previous video, these very, very mousy features compared to wallabies and kangaroos. The snout is a little less prominent. The face is more like one rounded triangular blob, more so than having specific bone structure. They have this very cute natural smile, the little black snout, the little black eyes, and these small rounded ears. No, not long at all, small, rounded, close to the body. If I didn't know better, I would think those ears were made for a colder climate, such as, for instance, we have seen similar ears on the Arctic fox, for instance. These small creatures are not native to Kings Island at all, but they are native to Rottnest Island, located off Perth, which is a part of Western Australia. However, these are fairly small and can live in fairly big groups, so both you could have them for more than one generation without inbreeding them, and at the same time they would be easy to just put in a transport box for animals such as cats or dogs, and they would be able to be transported fairly easily to and from Kings Island. Quokkas are very, very sociable, which means they really thrive in groups. Normally, they will in nature live in family groups, being normally a couple of adults and then their offspring, which also include their adult offsprings. However, since they are not territorial, they live with their family group, but they can live around and actually also kind of in between other family groups, which means in some areas you can actually maybe count up to 150 of these around. Again, they will not live in the same group, but they will just live around each other and accept each other. You need to be kind of chill to accept so many other individuals around you. I certainly could not, but these are really, really chill, but they can choose to fight, and what they find worth fighting for, it will not be a full-on like vicious attack, but what they would actually fight for is something kind of silly, such as get the best spot of shade during the hottest part of the day, which I just think is beautiful, because that's probably also the only fight I would find worth having in that kind of heat. Often animals that live in family group will have one mom and one dad, and they are the ones who are breeding. But the thing is with quokkas, they are polyamorous, which means they will breed with whoever, and that's both the males and the females, which we love. Equal rights here, which is of course great. And I'm not gonna try to explain how that works in practice because honestly I do not understand it, but I kind of here for it. And when it comes to mating in the game, since these are marsupials, I haven't seen it myself, but the marsupials should have a unique giving birth thing in the game where you can actually see the babe climb out of the pouch. As said, both males and females have multiple partners and they will mate even the same day. They only have 1 month roughly of mating seasons, which would be a place in between January and March. Again, it can change a little bit, but it is always limited to these colder months of the years. After that, the mom will only be pregnant for a month, but then giving birth to a really not done baby. I don't know if you have seen these videos on the internet. You can see them pretty much with all marsupials, where the babies are really a pink blob that are not able to take care of itself in any regard. So it will stay in the pouch, of course, and they will do that for around 30 weeks. After this, they will start to come out, they will start to play around and behave more like a baby animal or a young animal, or a joey as it's actually called. For about 8 to 10 weeks, maybe a little longer, they will really stay around their mom, learn their way around things and such. And of course, in the beginning, there will be a learning experience with the entire thing of getting out of the pouch. It will not be just like, okay, now you're out, take care of yourself. It is more like, okay, a little bit outside the pouch, I'm going back in, a little out the pouch, a little back in, and such. So all of these, it's not a firm cut outline with any of these things. It is very gradual. Just a little mention here, the only reason this shade is built so high is because of the waterfall. If there were a lower waterfall, a smaller waterfall, I would certainly have made the shade smaller. You can see here how small I make it over here as a comparison. I would like it to be roughly the same because we do not have elephants or giraffes in here. We have emus and quokkas. On Rottnest Island, there have been a lot of recreational development in later years, and this have resulted in the quokka losing a big part of their natural range. This also gives them a further risk of catching human diseases, which they are basically just not built for. And once again, with these wild animals, no one are taking them to a doctor. Therefore, today their numbers are not the strongest. They are at 7,850 to around 17,150. Again, these are estimated numbers, not a firm idea, and I believe the numbers are currently still decreasing. Because of all of these factors, they are listed as vulnerable according to the IUCN Red List. For now, I hope you will enjoy the cinematics and I will come back afterwards. Okay guys, it's all I have for you today. I really hope you enjoyed it. I really think this is a good start for this island zoo, and I'm really looking forward to see what we can do next. So for now guys, you know the drill. Like, subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you know the next time I upload a video. I really hope to see you again, either in comments below or in the next video. Bye guys.